The Zarkai didn't believe in warnings, only classifications. And they had just reclassified humans from primitive fauna to priority threat species. The change came too late to help the 4 Earthlings captured during a failed recon op on the edge of Sector Keshvar. Their vessel, the Wayfarer's Gamble, was gutted mid-transit by an interdiction net. Now it sat, like its crew, in the guts of floating lab prison orbiting a red dwarf star. Reza Mendez woke up on a slab of biosteel, tasting copper and grit. His arms were restrained, but not uncomfortably so. A gesture of arrogance, maybe, or confidence. Vitals stabilizing. Language matrix initializing. A voice said in guttural, broken English. "You are aware?" Reza cracked one eye open. The alien before him was tall and exoskeletal, draped in coils of living wire. 2 extra arms folded neatly behind its back like they were optional. "Yeah, I'm aware," he rasped, and unimpressed. He noted everything. No visible weapons, air humid and heavy with antiseptic tang. For vents high in the walls, likely where gas or drones would come from. The restraints wouldn't hold. Not forever. "Where are my people?" he demanded. The Zarkai tilted its head. Each is undergoing independent analysis. One is unusual. Ray's stomach dropped. Boomer. Corporal Artur Boomer. Kowalski was many things. Ex-special forces, adrenaline junkie, certified escape room addict. What he wasn't was normal. When the Zarkai lifted him from the crew bay, he grinned. The aliens had expected screaming. Resistance. Fear. What they got was, "Whoa, you guys really commit to the bit. Huh? Love the spine cables." Very Hellraiser meets H.R. Geiger. 10 out of 10. The interrogators blinked their outer eyelids, an involuntary sign of confusion. They strapped him into a suspension rig calibrated to human neurology and flooded it with stimulus. Electric feedback loops, hallucinogenic visuals, subsonic frequencies designed to destabilize the mind. Boomer giggled. "Is this the tutorial level? Come on, show me the boss fight already." The lead technician exchanged murmurs with its peers. He interprets all stimuli as recreational. He is playing. They doubled the intensity, added a biochemical pulse meant to trigger muscle spasms and nausea. Boomer stuck out his tongue and crossed his eyes. "BZT, wrong answer. Try again." Elsewhere in the facility, Juno Adebayo sat cross-legged in a glowing hex cell, muttering softly. Symbols pulsed across the transparent walls. The alien language wasn't just linguistic. It was semiotic, woven with emotional tones and contextual layers. Fascinating, like painting with intent instead of pigment. She reached into her pocket, found a stylus she'd palmed during intake, and began sketching symbols on her sleeve. Not mindlessly, purposefully. She was starting to talk back. From a hidden speaker, a synthetic voice echoed, "Curious. Why do you not weep, small one?" She looked up. "Because I'm listening." 1 floor below, a cleaning drone sputtered, short-circuiting mid-patrol. A tangle of wires had been rerouted and jammed into its sensory module. Sprocket, born Liangwen, was already wrist-deep in the belly of a secondary maintenance node, hijacking subroutines with nothing but a piece of solder and a neural tap she'd wired from her own cybernetic implant. The aliens had underestimated her. Badly. They'd stripped away external tech, not realizing half her genius was internalized. Biomechanical memory buffers, a retinal HUD, intuition carved from 17 years of building junkyard AIs back on Luna's dark side. A nearby panel sparked. She smiled. A surveillance node blinked out. Step 1 complete. Back in the observation gallery, the Zarkai scientists conferred in uneasy tones. They should have broken by now. Subject Mendez is calculating. A strategist. Subject Adebayo, calm but reactive. The mechanical one is tampering with infrastructure. But subject Kowalski. They watched the human hanging in 0G, spinning slowly in his restraint rig. He hummed an old Earth tune, something nonsensical and upbeat. "Pop goes the weasel," he sang cheerfully, then barked a laugh. "You know what this really needs? A boss theme, maybe some lasers." The lead interrogator turned to its peers. He interprets pain as challenge. "Our methods may be insufficient, A long silence passed. Then the technician who had monitored Boomer from the start asked, "What happens if they all unite?" In his cell, Reza closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. He'd been in worse places, deep behind enemy lines, oxygen running low, teammates bleeding out. What mattered wasn't the walls. It was the will. They'd taken his weapons, not his mind, not his people. He tapped his fingers in code against the slab. Boomer alive? No reply. Then, still kicking. Might be enjoying it. You know him. Juno's code. He smiled. He tapped again. Status report. Sprocket responded with a single word. Working. They weren't broken. Not even close. Boomer hung in the rig, head tilted, as the latest stimulation wave faded. Okay, that one tingled, but I'd give it a 6. Maybe a 7 for creativity. You guys got anything with, like, tentacles? Plasma? Surprised me. The Zarkai scientist turned off the machine and took a step back. I believe, it said carefully, we may have made a grave miscalculation. The Zarkai had underestimated humans before. That mistake had led to burnout circuits, scrambled observation logs, and one completely destroyed neural translator. Now, they doubled down not on caution, but escalation. They flooded Subject Kowalski's chamber with Phase 2 interrogation stimuli. Boomer barely blinked. From his reclined position in the anti-grav rig, he watched luminous fractals swirl through the air, illusions designed to rupture the human mind through sensory overload. The walls shimmered with phantom fire. Voices whispered from nowhere. Phantom insects crawled over his skin. He clapped his hands. Guys, this is better than my ayahuasca retreat in Bolivia. He reached up and tried to high-five one of the hallucinated insects. It vanished. A dismayed technician recorded the results in stuttering disbelief. Subject demonstrates positive engagement with hallucinations. Self-labels as player. Requests higher difficulty. Laughs at optimized trauma cycles. The lead analyst twitched. We must go deeper. One floor up, Reza Mendez leaned against the curve of his holding cell, eyeing the surveillance orb in the corner. He was done waiting. He didn't know how long Boomer could keep the aliens distracted or whether he'd accidentally become their new mascot, but it was time to act. He tapped his fingers on the metal floor in short bursts, shifting the rhythm between his heel and knuckles. Morse. Directional pattern. Juno would pick it up. He didn't have to wait long. From 2 cells away, her answer came through the ventilation grill, barely audible but precise. Decoding alien script. Symbols are tonal. Emotional resonance matters. Language is symphonic. Reza raised a brow. Of course it is. He sent back, useful? Pause. Then, maybe. Symbols triggered door protocols. He smiled. Sprocket, meanwhile, had turned her entire cell into a workshop. She'd shorted the security drone days ago, if time still meant anything here, and used its parts to build a spider-like subroutine that crawled the facility's network. She dubbed it Skitterbite. The AI was rudimentary, but clever. It reported back in pulses of red LED flashes via the broken panel in her floor. Security node, Eastern Wing, offline. Drainage subsystem, mapped. Power reroute, ready. Good girl, Sprocket muttered, soldering another component with a heating coil stolen from her bed frame. Keep finding cracks. I'll turn them into doorways. In the control nexus, the Zarkai analysts convened around the holographic representation of a human neural map. Boomer's pattern was unlike anything they'd studied. Where other species' minds showed escalating stress under torture, his showed oscillation, enjoyment. He has reframed trauma as narrative, one said, stunned. Another added, and positioned himself as protagonist. He believes he is winning. Then let him win, the elder technician declared. Push him past the edge. Let him see true despair. They activated the neural immersion engine, a machine designed to plunge subjects into their worst fears by hijacking dream logic and subconscious pathways. Boomer blinked as the lights went dark. Then a scene materialized, familiar, yet wrong. He stood in his childhood home. Empty, cold, snow drifted in through shattered windows. A small toy soldier lay broken at his feet. A voice echoed from nowhere. You are forgotten, alone, powerless. Boomer blinked again. Wait a sec. Is this supposed to scare me? The house morphed into a battlefield. Friends dying, a mission failed, the sound of static-filled screams. He paused, let the silence stretch, then laughed. You guys really should have Googled veteran PTSD humor before running this program. He clapped once, and, using nothing but sheer mental will, changed the simulation. The snow cleared. The house glowed warm. The broken toy stood up and saluted. Boomer smirked. You gave me control of my own nightmare? Rookie move. The simulation shuddered. Alarm klaxons blared in the control room. He is overriding the immersion layer. Impossible. Impossible, the technician echoed. Is quickly becoming synonymous with human. Meanwhile, Ray's cell door clicked open. Soft, quiet, deliberate. A ripple of surprise crossed his face. But he was already moving. Down the hall, Sprocket's door hissed open next, followed by Juno's. The team converged in a shadowed corridor between service sectors. No alarms yet. Boomer's buying us time, Reza said. We use it. Sprocket handed him a jury-rigged device made from alien capacitors and drone parts. This'll get us 10 seconds of blackout. Enough to move between surveillance nodes. Anything on comms? Reza asked. Juno shook her head. Still blocked. But I can speak a bit of their command language now. Enough to bluff a few terminals. Good. Reza turned toward the central spire, where Boomer was likely being held. Then we go get him. Sprocket raised a brow. And if it's a trap? Reza didn't pause. Then we spring it. Boomer woke up unshackled, standing in the center of a darkened chamber. A single Zarkai overseer approached. You are not broken, it said, voice buzzing like static and regret. Nope. You are not afraid. Only of running out of snacks. The overseer studied him. Slower now. Your mind operates beyond known thresholds. You subvert pain. Transform control. What are you? Boomer grinned. Human. The chamber lights shifted, red to violet. The universal signal for containment failure. Somewhere distant, explosions echoed. Boomer's grin widened. You guys should probably start running. Reza's boots pounded down the pulse-lit corridor, pulse rifle cradled tight against his chest. The weapon wasn't standard issue. Sprocket had Frankensteined it together using Zarkai tech and leftover maintenance tools. It still smelled faintly of lubricant and cooked resin. We have 8 minutes before this place reboots, Sprocket warned, jogging beside him. Her hacked datapad pinged erratically, the interface glitching from its forced merger of alien and human code. After that, the AI goes back online, with probably a vengeance. Noted, Reza said. Behind them, Juno trotted silently, eyes flicking from vent to panel to signage scrawled in shimmering alien script. They've rerouted Central Command to a secondary hub, she muttered. They're scared. They don't want to be near us. Smart. Boomer added, still grinning, despite the burn mark across his sleeve. But not smart enough. They skidded to a halt at a junction marked with twitching holographic glyphs. The air shimmered slightly. Heat from overworked servers, or maybe the scent of something wrong just out of sight. This is it, Juno said. The neurological relay core. From here, we can hijack the comms array and blow out the prison's command loop. Reza nodded. Boomer, you're on Overwatch. Sprocket, you and I will breach the console room. Juno, do your magic when we give the all clear. Boomer gave a theatrical salute and leaned against the wall beside the junction. If you hear explosions and laughter, assume I'm fine. Inside, the relay core hummed like a living thing. Tendrils of biosynthetic cable pulsed with alien data, stretching from the floor to the ceiling like the nervous system of a giant beast. At the center, a console crown with blinking neural ports and an interface dome. Sprocket let out a low whistle. This is not plug-in play. Can you crack it? Reza asked. I can insult it into compliance, maybe. Give me a minute. Reza nodded and moved to cover the entrance. 1 minute. Sprocket knelt and yanked out her multi-tool, eyes scanning the tangled interface. This whole system runs on layered empathy coding. That's why Juno could spoof it. Half of this tech thinks a metaphor. Seriously, who built a prison AI that reads feelings? Reza chuckled grimly. The kind of species that thinks fear is the ultimate truth. Sprocket snorted. They've never met a human during tax season. She plunged a neural tap into the dome. The lights flickered and the floor vibrated. She muttered. It's responding. Outside, Boomer's eyes narrowed as four Zarkai guards crept through the fog-lined corridor, their forms cloaked in active camouflage. To most eyes, they looked like shimmering air. Boomer squinted. You know what breaks stealth fields. He pulled out 2 canisters marked with skull, and the words Fizzy Cola, Human Edition. Sprocket had weaponized the carbonation levels, of course. They were technically soda grenades. Unethical, he whispered. Delicious. He popped both, hurled them into the hallway, and dropped behind cover. Fwoosh. A spray of acidic foam and high-frequency pops exploded outward, coating the camo fields in glowing residue. The Zarkai hissed and fired wildly, but Boomer was already moving, flipping over a crate and dropping 2 of them with stolen plasma bolts. He keyed his calm little problem out here. Not a big one, just an entire squad. Reza's voice came back dry. Hold the line. Inside the relay chamber, Sprocket's hands flew. We're in. Comm channels are open. Juno, start the bypass. Juno sat cross-legged just outside, her hands moving in slow, deliberate motions as she whispered the alien symbols she'd memorized. Her tone was calm, but her brow dripped sweat. The system doesn't understand what we're doing, she murmured. It doesn't know how to fight a song. Reza watched the cables above shift color, from pale green to violent red, then sing faster. Outside, Boomer ducked as a blade passed within inches of his ear. A Zarkai elite charged, for arms swinging like scythes. Boomer rolled, landed hard, and came up swinging. He caught the alien in the joint with a broken, sparking pole and grinned as it screeched and dropped. Seriously, guys, he panted, was this your end game? 4-armed bugs with swords? We play VR horror in our spare time. Back in the core, the cables snapped tight, and warning klaxons began screaming in a deep, guttural dialect. They're launching a purge. Sprocket shouted, if we're still hooked into the system when it hits. Then we fry, Reza finished. Juno, she didn't speak, just pressed her hand against the glyph-laced floor and let the final phrase roll from her tongue like a lullaby. The system paused, flickered, then bent. The relay light shifted from red to deep indigo. All across the facility, systems stuttered and reversed. Door locks disengaged. Weapon systems folded. AI protocols overloaded. Sprocket's datapad pinged. Comms are ours, she said. Every prison broadcast tower just switched to a human distress signal. Our location's beaming loud and clear. Boomer's voice crackled through. You guys done playing wizard? 'Cause I'm down to my last soda bomb and some mild shrapnel. Fall back to the hangar bay, Reza ordered. We're getting out. As they sprinted toward the evac wing, the facility around them began to collapse in quiet, orderly chaos. Lights faded, machines stilled, drones powered down in the middle of patrol. They didn't know how to fight us, Juno said, panting beside Reza. They studied pain, not possibility. Sprocket grinned. Honestly, we're way harder to debug than they expected. Boomer jogged backward in front of them, bruised and grinning. Call me crazy, but I'm going to miss this place. Reza gave him a look. You need therapy. Probably, but I want fries first. They burst into hangar bay just as the emergency shutters began to descend. Sprocket dove into the nearest vessel, a Zarkai scout skiff, and pulled a canopy open. Seats 4. Not built for comfort. Built for escape, Reza said, helping Juno up as Boomer scrambled in behind. As the canopy sealed and the skiff roared to life, they looked back at the collapsing prison behind them. Reza keyed the thrusters. Let's go home. The stolen Zarkai scout skiff rattled like a shopping cart with jet engine. Panels blinked with glyphs that neither Sprocket nor Juno fully understood, and the interface kept asking Reza if he wanted to accept symbiosis. He declined every time. "Someone remind me again," Boomer said, clutching the edge of his seat as the ship bucked through atmospheric reentry, "why we stole the alien ship instead of waiting for extraction." "Because," Sprocket grunted, wrenching a cable bundle under the dashboard, "it was this or wait for the Zarkai to realize we turned their prison into a disco ball and send friends." "She means reinforcements," Juno clarified, calmly flipping switches that dimmed the warning sirens. "Also, the prison's reactor is going critical in under 2 minutes." "Right." Boomer grinned. "Fireworks." Reza watched the receding facility shrink on the rear viewer, its jagged silhouette flickering with electrical surges. "They built a place to test the limits of human pain. We showed them the limits of human patience." The comms panel lit up an inbound signal. Sprocket squinted. We're being hailed by the Zarkai High Command." Reza crossed his arms. "Put it through." A shimmering alien face appeared, regal and twitching with barely restrained fury. "You have committed grave violations of sovereign experimental code. Return the vessel and surrender for reprocessing." Reza raised an eyebrow. "Let me think. No. You will suffer." Reza cut the feed. Boomer clapped. "Can we put that on a T-shirt?" The skiff cleared the atmosphere just as the prison exploded behind them. A blinding pulse of violet light expanded in a silent wave, followed by a debris bloom that turned night into a new sunrise. Everyone fell quiet for a moment, watching. Then Boomer let out a low whistle. "That was beautiful." Sprocket, blinking at the afterimage on her display, nodded. "Thermal yields probably enough to wipe their logs for 50 clicks. Even I didn't expect that big a boom." "Poetic," Juno added softly. "We turned their temple of control into a cautionary tale." Reza allowed a small, hard smile. "And now we bring the story home." The ship rattled again, violently this time, as 2 enemy cruisers appeared on their sensors, rising from orbit like hornets from a kicked nest. Oh, Sprocket muttered. "Guess they didn't appreciate our artistic expression." Juno leaned in. "If we try to outrun them, we'll burn out the core. This thing's not built for long-range flight." Boomer grinned. "Then we do what humans do best." Reza cocked an eyebrow. "Which is?" "Make it up as we go." Within seconds, the team sprang into motion. Sprocket yanked up the console panels, muttering a mix of curses and poetry. Boomer strapped himself in backwards, pulling the manual turret handles into place. Juno accessed the ship's language subroutines, injecting human emotional data to confuse the targeting locks. Sprocket barked. "If we reroute the intake valves and charge the plasma manifold with a phase bleed, we can slingshot around their first cruiser and..." "In English," Reza growled, "we make the ship fart lightning and use the stink to jump out of range." "Perfect. Do it." The alien cruisers opened fire. Bolts of condensed plasma streaked across the void, grazing the skiff's hull. Boomer hooped and fired back, not aiming to hit, just to annoy. Come on," Sprocket hissed. "She's almost ready." Juno closed her eyes and whispered something into the console. The skiff pulsed with a low harmonic thrum, the kind of sound that made teeth itch and lights flicker. "Now!" she called. Reza slammed the thruster lever forward. The skiff bucked, twisted, and screeched through space like a bottle rocket with attitude. The enemy cruiser loomed ahead, but they didn't slow. Sprocket grinned. "Say goodbye." The overloaded plasma exhaust vented in a violent burst, catching the cruiser's shields at the perfect angle. The feedback loop shorted its guidance systems just long enough for the skiff to zip through the gap and vanish into the black. Hours later, aboard the recovery vessel Mercy's Edge, the team sat in the med bay, bruised, filthy, and grinning like lunatics. "Well," Boomer said, arms behind his head, "anyone want to go back and finish the tour?" Sprocket threw a gauze pad at him. Juno stretched, cracking her back. "They'll never try that again." Reza, quiet until now, looked out the viewport at the stars. "They will," he said. "Not them, maybe, but someone else." Someone who thinks humanity is just flesh and nerves and pain thresholds. Someone who still believes we break. Sprocket leaned back. Let 'em try. Boomer raised a finger. Let them please try. Juno smiled, eyes distant. Because next time, we're bringing board games.